All right then. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to come on this morning briefly and talk to you about the storm. And it's not just the storm that's raging down there in New Orleans, in Louisiana. I pray that all of us pray for those people who are down there who couldn't get out and who had to ride the storm out. That prayerfully that they'll be okay, and that God will take care of them, as we know that He will and can do. I pray that we are praying for the ones who did travel and left their homes this way, that to come this way, or wherever they went to their designated destinations, that they be okay and that God provides for them as well. So with everything going on in the world today, um, we just got trouble on every hand, but God knows all about it. He knows about us. He knows what we need, and we know that we have to be there for one another, cause everybody needs a shoulder to lean on. People say, "Well, you got God." Yeah, that's true. That's true. But God works through human agency, so He uses us as humans to be there for one another, to help one another, to get through the rough patches in life. And right now, as I've been watching over the weekend and I woke up to this morning, the storm hit and there's a lot of damage. They just haven't assessed it yet, because they can't access it yet, because they can't get out there. They got to wait till some of that water uh, calms down, recedes. And, we all know, because we've been in storms, the aftermath is what messes with your mental. And so we all, again, need to be prayerful. And if we have family members or know people who have family members that way, be ready to pray for those families and to help them however we can. Help them, point them to some resources if you don't have them yourself. But if you find out about some resources that may be available, don't be afraid to post that on your Facebook page or whatever type of social media outlet that you have. Because people, we got to help each other more than what we doing. I believe that sometimes we think we really doing a whole lot when we really are doing a whole lot of nothing. So it's hard going through times like that, and those of us who went through Harvey know that we don't want to experience that no more. And other storms that we've suffered here in the state of Texas. But what I wanted to before I go further into what I wanted to speak on briefly this morning, and hopefully that it inspires and encourages you on this morning, I wanted to give a shout out to Anointed Praise this morning for inviting me to come over and speak at their church on yesterday. I want to personally thank Pastor Green and his wife, and for God laying me on his heart and him having her to reach out to me, and my longtime friend Miss Tilly Henson. I want to thank them for giving, just having me on their heart to share with their members. And everybody practiced followed the CDC guidelines. So I know a lot of people have concerns about that, but they're following CDC guidelines, and it just was a nice moment in time of just sharing what God pours into you, being able to birth that. Because whenever you have the word of God on the inside of you, it swells up on the inside of you and it don't come out. It's got to come out. And until it comes out, you can't rest. You can't rest. He won't let you rest until you give birth to that word that he put in you. And you do that by sharing it in the manner in which he told you, showed you how to share it, because it's his word. He's just giving you the opportunity to share it. So on that, again, I wanted to thank them for the invite. I wanted to thank each and every one of you who came online yesterday and supported me. I want to thank those who called me and supported me. I want to thank my daughter, Moretta. I want to thank my sister in Christ, Crystal. I want to thank them for coming and joining me on yesterday in person. I want to thank my grandson who texted me yesterday morning because he had something that he had to do on yesterday morning and gave me words of encouragement and support. So I want to thank Brandon for that. You know, I just have some of you that I may have forgotten about. I want to say I didn't forget about you, but I don't know that you were on there. But even if you weren't on there and saw it later, I just want to thank you. Thank you so much. There's nothing wrong with letting people know that you appreciate them. And I think that I believe that we should. And when people take out time out of their busy schedules to support you, and however that is, whether it's texting you, whether it's watching your live videos, whether it's giving you a phone call, whether it's praying for you, whatever it is, be appreciative and thankful, because people don't have to do that. Now, something else I wanted to share on this morning. I know y'all probably are thinking about it. I've had some people to ask me, when was the podcast going to be starting? I'm going to do a soft opening on the podcast. I would have been starting up this week on the 1st, but I got some things going on, not bad things. It's just to explain to you very briefly. On my job, we went back into the facilities, and it's been very, very strenuous, very strenuous with the pandemic and everything, things having to be done differently, and you got to function different from how you used to function. And it's just a lot of things that were kind of backed up. And so when we went back in, you know, the pressures were still there. The pressures didn't go nowhere. They were still there to meet these deadlines and to just things that you have to be responsible for, both state, local, and federal. And so I'm going to say that. And so because of those responsibilities, I became over exhausted. Something that normally would not take me to that level. What happened was, because of the pandemic, because of the CDC guidelines, because of people not being vaccinated, and the things that you have to do when you, like myself, have pre-existing conditions. So you got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because yes, people do have, you know, what they using all this, they done made it political now about not wearing a mask or wearing a mask. I don't want to get all into that, or not getting vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated. I thank God that I'm fully vaccinated and waiting to get the booster shot. But there are those who don't see it the same way. So we all are individually responsible for ourselves to make sure that we do the right thing for ourselves and our loved ones and those we come around. Because I don't want to spread it to nobody else. So I did, you know, what I did as far as how my views are about it. I got vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated. But with that said, a lot of things went on, and then some things started happening with my health. And so I know, again, it should have started this week. Target date was for this September 1st, but I'm not going to be able to meet that deadline. So I'm asking you guys to bear with me. Give me another 2 weeks, hopefully, because let me tell you what has happened now before I move any further. Now, we're coming back out, not fully. We're still operating in person, but we're not all going to be there at the same time. So we're having to make adjusted schedules so that we can still service the students and get things done and take care of ourselves. And because when you work within an organization, you have to make sure that you are following CDC guidelines. And even though you may have your own office, you're still coming in and out of that office, and you're still making contact with a lot of people. And so now they readjusted the schedule. So it's a lot of things going on. It's not that the podcast won't start. It will start, but it's gonna push. I'm gonna have to push it out, and I'll keep you all updated on it. And I was really trying to meet that targeted date of September 1st, but it just didn't happen that way. And for whatever God's reasoning is, but in the same like manner, I gotta take care of myself, and I gotta do what I gotta do to function at the job, and I gotta follow the rules and follow the guidelines. So that's what I have on this morning, just so that I can be open with you guys, let you guys know what is happening as far as getting up the live interviews on the podcast. Next thing is I'm going to go into what was laid on my heart to share this morning, and prayerfully that it will inspire you. As I said previous to making those announcements, during the time of making the announcements, was I thought about storms, because I've been watching this storm, Ida, the hurricane that hit New Orleans, and I've seen the damages. And people were trying to get out of there, and some people not having the money. And when a storm happens in your life, when storms begin to happen in your life, none of us are 100%. None of us are 100% prepared. We just prayerfully have resources that we can reach out there and get. And sometimes we don't, especially with the pandemic and everything with that, with the inflation and prices and just everything going up, inflation and with the gas and everything. And then you've got people who are facing eviction. It's just so much stuff, and now on top of that, you stack storms because you're in hurricane season. So when I was talking about the storm, thinking about the storm, I was thinking about and looking at how these people must be feeling in their mental, because some of them have children who had just started school, so they had to pull them out. They've got people down there in the hospital that, have COVID, and then they got those that didn't. So now they're trying to figure out how they're going to transfer them out because of the damages down there. See, all of this stuff that's going on, that's a storm on top of a storm on top of a storm. And you know what? When people have storms, just like when we have storms, sometimes you're not functioning at that level and making decisions how you would normally make them if that storm in your life wasn't going on. But I'm going to say this morning. This is a signal for us to really, really get close to one another and to get close to God. We've got to do that. It's not if something going to happen. It's when it happens. Because the storms of life will happen. But who is it that you have in your corner when those storms of life, I'm not talking about that water out there, I'm not talking about the thunder and the lightning, I'm talking about the storms of life now. When they start happening because the water and the thunder and the lightning and all of that took place, and the pandemic took place, and just deaths took place, and just all, financial problems took place. People losing their mind because because they just don't know what to do. Because the storm is raging. And it's not if it comes into our life, it's when it comes. Are you ready? Are you ready for the storms in your life? And most of us, if we are honest with ourselves, we are not prepared. Because, listen to me closely, because when we're in that season of reaping, see, that season of look like everything you touch turns to gold. See, we're not thinking about that storm that could happen. That's why you never say, I will never lack. Don't say that, because it's always going to be something in life that you going to lack in. Going to cause you to lack. See, God not going to always keep you or me on the top, because you know why? We will get beside ourselves. We'll forget about God. See, your past is just for you to reflect on every now and then to see his goodness for where you are right now. Let me say that again. Your past is only there for you to reflect on, not to go back there, not to go back. That's your past. But it's there for you to reflect on so that you can see his goodness on how far he brought you. How far God has brought each and every one of us. Because the storms, when you look back, it was some storms back there. It was some things that happened in your life that you thank God to this day he brought you out of. Because if he hadn't delivered you, you wouldn't have come out. Because you know what? Sometimes the storms can be so bad you don't know how to get out. This just like when Harvey happened and Ike happened and Rita happened. You know, people was getting on the road, and then and look at when Katrina happened down there in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of storms we can go back and reminisce on. But you know what? We know that happened, but we know the only reason why we made it through was because God delivered us. And some of us panicked, and we got on those freeways. Like some of those people said they was on the road this weekend for 12 hours trying to get out the way of danger, of a storm. Because you don't know what that storm gonna do. And see, one thing about storms, listen to me closely. One thing about storms, see, storms hit everybody. They hit the rich, they hit the ones they call the middle class, and they hit the poor. See, storm, it don't have no button that say, oh, don't put no rain over there, because they got money. Oh no, when that storm hit, you can lose it all. That's why you don't never say, because you got something now that you will never lack. Never say that. Because when the storms start raging in your life, in my life, when that storm starts raging, you're going to lose some stuff. And prayerfully, you don't lose your mind. Oh, yes. Because some things can be so traumatic that you feel like you don't know how to pull it together. You ever been in a life situation and it was a storm and you ain't know how you was going to pull that thing together? You didn't know how you was going to bring it back to some normalcy. What we in right now with this pandemic, it just seems like we can't bring it back to some normalcy. Because see, some people, they are inflexible. Hello? They don't want nothing different. They like it just like this. Oh, we can make it through this. We can do this. I mean, it ain't nothing. And you know, all them things that people out there saying, I don't have to tell you. You already know. But see, to many of us, we see that storm. The pandemic is a storm. But see, God knows about the pandemic, so he knows about the storm because he's the creator. And guess what? That's one thing about it. Whatever he sent forth, he can pull it back. Whatever God sends forth, he can pull it back. We not still in the past storms we was in. We got some new storms out there now. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be the last storm. See, we praying for them now. But what about when our storms start raging? Who praying for us? Do you know some prayer warriors? Do you know some people? Do you got some people in your circle that can inspire you? Do you have some people in your circle that's willing to encourage you in the midst of the storm? Do you have some people in your circle that don't mind giving you a hug, that don't mind sitting down talking to you and telling you that they see the tears, that they see your pain, that they understand your pain, that they know that you got some deep pain, that they know that there's a storm raging in your life and they want to do whatever they can do to help you? You got some people like that in your life? Because if you don't have no people like that in your life, what you living for? Why you finding yourself always somewhere in the presence of somebody that the only time that they got something for you is because you got something for them? See, you got to have some people in your life for when them storms come. You can be in the same storm. Like I'm talking about the weather storm. You in the same storm, but you got some personal storms in your life that don't look like somebody else's life. Somebody else's storm. But check this out. Somebody been through that storm and they came out so they can tell you how they made it through the storm so that they can try to help to encourage and inspire you to get out of that storm. Because let me tell you something, even pain can be storm. It can be a storm in your life when you're going through so much pain, when you're going through so much sickness, when you're going through so much disruption, when you're going through so much divide in the family, when you're going through so much not having enough money. You got more month than you got money. See, there are storms in your life. Those are being lonely can be a storm in your life. You know why it can be a storm? Because loneliness can lead to things that you normally wouldn't even think about. Depression, anxiety, suicide, all that stuff when you begin to get lonely because you begin to start thinking about stuff that you wouldn't thinking about if you wasn't in that situation. But that's a storm in people's life. And that storm can start raging. And I'm using an example such as loneliness. See, that can pick up and become a storm because as it leads into other things, it can cause you to destroy others and yourself. That's a storm. That's a storm. Storms come in different forms. Storm of depression is real. Storm of loss is real. Let me say that, of loss is real again. And sometimes it don't have to just be death. Sometimes just losing long-term friendships because you fall out for no reason at all. Sometimes just losing family relationships because you had a disagreement. You haven't spoke to one another in 20, 25, 30 years behind one disagreement. That's a storm because what happens is it divides the family because one set of the family go this way and one set of the family go that way because Big Mama and them not around no more to try to keep the foundation of the family together. So that's a storm because the ground of the family starts cracking because nobody steps in there and say, wait a minute, hold the phone. We ain't doing this. We family. I don't care how rough it gets. We family. I don't care how many disagreements we have. We family. See, but we didn't even lost the concept of that. And you know what happened? So Satan just came right on in there like a tornado and tore up the family units. If you notice now, families act like they don't even care about one another anymore. We don't even get together like we used to. Family reunions are almost obsolete. And we always want to talk about our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents that done passed on. But you know what? Just like you trying to leave a foundation now, that's what they were doing with us. That's what they was trying to put into us. No matter how rough it gets, stick together. But somehow, when we start getting a little bit more, come on, we start buying better cars. We start living in better houses. We start getting better jobs. And all the while things was picking up, we were separating ourselves. We got our grandchildren and our children teaching their children not to like parts of the family. That's crazy, and that's a storm. Because if you family, nobody's better than nobody else. You still family. Just because you don't like a family member, that don't make you not be family. That don't make you not be family. Something my late husband said, remember he was a pastor. He said, just because a man take his wedding ring off just to cheat, that don't mean that he not still married. That don't mean he not still married. He just took the ring off. And vice versa. If she takes the ring off just to go cheat, hey, she's still married. But see, God saw that. See how that, and that's a storm. Because whenever you start separating yourself and you allow things to come into your life, to filter into your life, that's going to cause division, that's a storm. Because somebody other than yourself is going to get hurt. Because to every one individual, there are many others attached. See, I'm a mother, but I got a daughter, and I got some grandkids, and I got a son-in-law, and I got some sisters, and I got brothers, and I got sister-in-laws, and I got brother-in-laws, and I got friends, and I got, it's a lot of, it's not just me. See, I can do something so devastating that it's not going to just hurt me. Because what I do going to hurt a whole lot of other people. It's going to impact them. What you do, that storm that you stirring up, because see, some of us stir up some storms. Because some of us always finding ourselves doing stuff that we know that it's going to hurt somebody. We do it knowing it's going to hurt somebody. We already know it when we do it. But you creating storms on top of a storm, on top of a storm. And you know what? Sooner or later, that thing going to explode. Because you don't have nobody around you. It's dangerous when you don't have people around you to call you out and say you wrong. To call you out and say, what you doing is not right. To call you out and say, wait a minute, that's going to impact a whole lot of people. That decision you making, that's going to impact a whole lot of people. It's still a storm, y'all. I'm just taking the storms of life and relating them to the physical storms that we seeing out there. The one that's raging right now, that's being covered on every channel, is Ida down there in New Orleans. That's water. That's flooding. That's poles down and no electricity. And it then moved its way all the way into Louisiana. Baton Rouge, and I got family there. I got family in Mississippi. I got some just like you got some. Because everybody got family somewhere. In all these 50 states we got. We all got some family somewhere. And you know what? When the storms start raging in their life, will you be there? Will you be there for them? Will you pray for them? Will you send them some money if they need some, if you got it to send? Will you inspire and encourage them if you can? Send them some words of inspiration when they breaking down. And they might not even need your money. They just might need to know that you thinking about them. And it's not just those storms. Sometimes when the storms are raging in our individual lives, sometimes I don't want your money. I just want somebody to pick up the phone and say, Electra, it's going to be all right. I can tell you it's going to be all right because I've been where you're going. I know how it feels. I know when the storms of life start raging. I'm 30 years older than you. I can tell you something. I've been down that road. I know what it's like to lose somebody that you really love, whether it be your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, loved ones in your family, children, friends. See, you need somebody that can talk to you when that time in your life comes, because it's going to happen to each and every one of us. And that's why we got to do all that we can do when we are faced with that. So we don't always just stay right there. We got to learn how to move forward, because what we went through is so that we can help somebody else. You can't just stay where you are. You move on with the help of God so you can help somebody else. See, sometimes we celebrate too long. And sometimes we grieve too long. I miss loved ones that have gone on into glory. I miss them. But you know what? God say, I got some stuff for you that I need you to do, because one day you're going to leave here too. But Electra, you can't grieve like the world. You can't just grieve like the world and say you love me. I know your heart is broken. I know that you think about them every now and then. I know that they're going to always be there. I know that they etched in your mind. I know that. But you can't grieve like the world. You can't stay in that storm. You got to move on, because I got some other storms going to come up. Got some other storms. Got some more stuff going to happen. See, I need you to be stronger before you got in the first storm. And then you face that. See, when you face that first storm, you learn how to prepare for the next hurricane that comes. And then when that hurricane comes, you get through that. And then you know how to get prepared for the next one. But see, one thing about storms, when they come through and you don't learn from the storm, listen to me closely. You can't teach your children and your children's children so that they can teach their children on down the lineage on how to prepare for the storm to the best of their ability. To the best of their ability. Everything can't be eating and drinking and being merry. You got to learn that one day all that celebration gonna stop. It's gonna cease. See, that's why people got so upset in the midst of the pandemic storm, because they wasn't used to switching lanes because they wanted to keep doing what they was doing. And it just it wasn't normal for them not to be able to go out there and do the things that they wanted to do, to mingle amongst people and all this other kind of stuff that we was doing before the pandemic storm happened. So what they did is they started pushing back and saying things that weren't true and riling people up. And now we still in a storm with the pandemic because we didn't reach herd immunity, which is 90% of the population having to get vaccinated so that the virus has nowhere to go. So since some of us decided to make it a political thing rather than a health thing, guess what? We still in the storm. We just like them Israelites. So we can't talk about them. We still out here in the wilderness. You know why? Because we don't understand that obedience is better than sacrifice. That's the daily word today. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Oh, you don't want to do that? You want to say it's these different things, and you want to create all this division, and because that's what it did, and chaos, and now we didn't reach herd immunity, so now you got a Delta virus, which has caused things to happen differently on my job because of the impact of people saying, I'm just not going to do that. So we didn't reach herd immunity. So guess what? It was like I was saying earlier, with any storm. Whatever you do, it never just impacts you. It never just impacts you. Because you didn't want to be obedient. You want to play like you the scientist. You ain't never even had a day in the classroom. It's just like some of us want to play God. And we ain't never been up on nobody's cross. We wouldn't give up. We can have 10 sons, and we ain't trying to give up not one. But we'll play God in a New York second. See how them storms can just spin off of each other? We had COVID, now we got the Delta virus. That's a storm spinning off of a storm. So we back losing people again that we didn't have to. Storm on top of a storm. And see, some people might be okay with that. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, I don't believe in my sanctified imagination that God is okay with what we doing. All this division, people talking about people they ain't never met. Got nerve enough to go on Facebook and talk about and put stuff out there, and you don't even know these people. And you know what? Sometimes you can say stuff about people, get people killed. Because somebody gonna believe you. And even with that, you creating a storm. That's a storm in people's life. Anything that can make you cry, anything that can bring pain, anything that can bring sadness, that's a part of a storm. And I would pray that you wouldn't want to be a part of that. Going around turning people against people, saying stuff about people you don't even know. Somebody else just told you they didn't like them. So now you say you don't like them. You don't even know. That might have been the person that God was using to help you, to bless you in a mighty way. But you don't like them because somebody else don't like them. That's a storm. You're going to catch that down the road throughout the day at some point. Storm ain't just water and flooding the cities, the states. It's not just water. Storms comes in all forms. And when they start raging in your life, are you ready? You might have a few resources, but do you have everything you need to get through that storm? Do you? That's a question you got to answer. See, we busy being angry. But we spend more time being angry than we spend teaching somebody something. Inspiring somebody else, encouraging somebody else. Because look here, it's not when the storm, it's not if the storm gonna come. It's when. It's when. Are you ready? Can you stay ready? Or are you just gonna just keep celebrating till the next thing happens? I tell you, that's a sad state of affairs. But I honestly, prayerfully say to you this morning, be blessed, have a good day, have an amazing day, the best day that you could ever have. Get up, do something, make yourself smile. Help somebody else to smile. Somebody might be going through something that you don't know about, but you might be the person that God sent to help them in the midst of their storm. All right? Y'all have a wonderful day. I'm going to get ready to go in this morning. And thank God I got a job. Right? Bye-bye.